Welcome to today's lesson. Today's lesson has to do with simplification of algebraic expressions, but this time around it has to do with exponents. Now, how can we multiply or divide algebraic expressions with powers? Now, let's look at the following. I'm simplifying. This is number one. I have 4x raised to power 7, close bracket, and open bracket, 5x raised to power 5, close bracket. Now, how do I solve this question? I already know that bracket means multiplication. So I'm going to multiply the coefficients separately and multiply the exponents separately. So in this case, this is like saying 4 times 5. And because they are xx, then you pick one of the x. Raised to power 7. But in this case, you do not have to multiply. Simply add the powers plus 5. If you do that, this will give you 4 times 5, 20, x raised to power 12. If this is confusing or difficult to understand, let's work it out like this. When I have x raised to power 7, it simply means x times x times x 7 times. And if I have x raised to power 5, it simply means x times x times x 5 times. So if you multiply that way, you're going to have something like this. It's like saying 4 times x times x times x times x 1, 2, 3, 4 times x 5 times x 6 times x 7. Then times 5 times x times x times x times x times x 5 times. Now you multiply the whole number. 4 times 5, you get 20. And then x times x squared, times x cubed, times x raised to the power 4, times x raised to the power 5, times x raised to the power 6, times x raised to the power 7, times x raised to the power 8, times x raised to the power 9, times x raised to the power 10, times x raised to the power 11, and then times x raised to the power 12. And that's how we got our 20x raised to the power 12. But this is cumbersome. There's no point doing this. And that's the reason why when you're dealing with exponents, as long as the letters are the same, simply add the powers. And then your answer comes out. So I'm not going to be following this long procedure anymore. You can even make a mistake if you're not careful. But this is just to help you understand what we did in solving number 1 question. So let's move on to number 2. And this point now is going to be easy for us. If I have 3n raised to power 7, close bracket, and then I have 5n, this is simply multiply the coefficient separately, 3 times 5. And then n raised to power 7 plus 1. The power here is 1, but it is not written. So this will give us 3 times 5, 15, and raised to power 8. It's as simple as that. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 question is 4y raised to power 2, close bracket, and then open bracket 6y raised to power 2. This is easier again. Just simply say 4 times 6, and then you pick y raised to power 2 plus 2. And that gives you 4 times 6, 24, y raised to power 4. This is becoming interesting, right? Let's go to another question. Let's assume I have 9k raised to power 6, close bracket, then 3k raised to power 4, close bracket. Again, this is 9 times 3, then k raised to power 6 plus 4. So what would this be? 9 times 3 is 27, k 6 plus 4 raised to power 10. Let's try out number 5. And number 5, let's assume I have 12y raised to power 2, close bracket, open bracket, 4y raised to power 3, close bracket. That will be 12 times 4. Then y raised to power 2 plus 3, which is 12 times 4. That gives you 48. Y raised to power 2 plus 3, 5. That's very easy, right? Now, from number 1 to 5, it has to do with multiplication, brackets. But now, what happens if it is division? Now, let's look at number 6. From number 6 to 10 will be division. So I have 2y raised to power 7 divide 6y raised to power 2. How do I solve this question? Again, it's very easy. Now, what I would do is to divide the coefficient. 2 can divide 2 to be 1, and 2 can divide 6 to be 3. So I'm left with 1y raised to power 7 over 3. But I'm not going to write a 1, so I'll simply write y raised to power 7 over 3y raised to power 2. Now, again, the concept of y raised to power 7 is y times y times y 7 times, divide 3y squared, which is y times y. So when you cancel out, 5y will be left at the numerator. So it will be y raised to power 5 over 3. But now, I'm not going to do that. What I will do is to follow the principle of the multiplication. When it is multiplication, I add the powers. But when it is division, I'm going to subtract the powers. That way, it becomes easier to solve. So this will be y raised to power 7. Divide means minus. Y raised to power 2 minus 2 over 3. The 3 will still be there because it's a coefficient. My final answer will be y raised to power 5 over 3. Very easy. Now let's try out number 7. Number 7 is 9n raised to power 7 over n raised to power 3. Now, there's no coefficient here, so the 9 will be retained. Then n raised to power 7. Division means minus. Remember, the letters are the same, n, so minus 3. And this will give you 9n raised to power 4. Very easy. Let's try out number 8. Number 8, I'm going to have 8m raised to power 3 over 2m raised to power 5. So what do I do here? Now, a factor can divide this, and a factor can divide this to be 4. So here I'm left with 4m raised to power 3 over m raised to power 5. Now remember, it's division. So 3 divide means minus 5. And this will give you 4m 3 minus 5. And when a small number is subtracting a bigger number, there'll be a minus. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So this is 4m raised to power minus 2. And this can be rewritten as 4 over m raised to power 2. So what I have here, for m raised to power minus 2 is the same thing as 4 over m raised to power 2. And let's go to number 9. Number 9 question is 10 x raised to power 3 divide 2 x raised to power 2. Again, 2 can divide 2 to the 1, 2 can divide 10 to the 5. And so I'm left with 5x raised to power 3 over x raised to power 2, which is 5x raised to power 3 divide minus 2. And my final answer is 5x. Let's do the last one, the last example. The last example is 6. Let this be y raised to power 2 over 12y. That's the question. This will become 6 can divide 6 to be 1, and 6 can divide 12 to be 2. So I'm having y raised to power 2 over 2y. And this will be y raised to power 2 minus the power here is 1, even though it's not written, so minus 1 over 2. You had to leave the 2 under because it's a coefficient. My final answer to this question will be 2 minus 1 is 1. Y raised to power 1, but I'm not going to write a 1, all over 2. So this is the answer to the question. So it's quite easy for us to simplify algebraic expressions that has to do with exponents. Okay, it's time for you to test your IQ on these questions. Number 1, you're going to simplify the following. Number 1 is 3y raised to power 6, close bracket, open brackets, 4y raised to power 3, close bracket. And number 2 question is 9m raised to power 7 divide 27m raised to power 11. Number 3 question, 5x raised to power 5, close bracket, and then 4x raised to power 4 in a close bracket. And number 4, 15y raised to power 3 divide 3y raised to power 9. And number 5, you have 7m raised to power 4 in brackets, multiplying 4m raised to power 7 in brackets. Number 6, 12y raised to power 5 divide 4y raised to power 4. Number 7, you have 10x raised to power 3 in brackets, multiplying 2x raised to power 7 in brackets. And then number 8, you have 12t raised to power 7 divide 48t raised to power 8. And number 9, you have 9y raised to power 3 in brackets, multiplying 4y raised to power 2 in brackets. And then lastly, you have 20n raised to power 5 divide 5n raised to power 10. What are the solutions? Put your answers in the comment section. Let's see who will be the first to get the answers correctly to the 10 questions. And remember to subscribe. See you in the next class.